Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, I love talking all things reality TV, and today we are talking about 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After? Season 8. Very similar to my other 90 Day Fiancé video that I did pretty recently. I'm just going to go through the different couples, give some thoughts, opinions, especially what was fun with this season of Happily Ever After was we got some new faces in the mix, quite a bit of a little shakeup going on, and a lot of them were like just on 90 Day Fiancé, so perfect. Before we talk about each of the couples individually though, we have to talk about the other little shakeup type thing they did, which was for the reunion or the tell-all, having all the couples live together in a giant house over the couple days of filming. Hilarious choice. Please do it again. Please keep doing it. Please, please, please. I enjoyed it so much. Was it a mess? Yes, but it was exactly the kind of thing I want to see, because seeing the couples interact is always just super interesting to me, so it was very fun getting to see them just not in the tell-all setting. Honestly, send them on a vacation. Don't give us 90 Day Fiancé Last Resort again. You can keep that. But give us, we already have 90 Day in Paradise, but that's Love in Paradise. We need something like that, though, with a title like that. We need something where all the couples hang out in paradise. That's what I'm getting at. Almost like Love Island, but married couples from 90 Day Fiancé, or engaged couples, or dating couples. Honestly, I don't care. If they're good TV, throw them on an island all together and let's watch it for a couple weeks. Please! Free idea, TLC. Okay, we can get into the couples now. First up, we have newcomers Sophie and Rob. Sophie is 24 from the United Kingdom, and Rob is 33 from Texas. This is one of our new couples, and we just got done watching them on 90 Day Fiancé, and I truly did not think they were even going to make it through the 90-day process. So when I realized they were coming on Happily Ever After, I know I, for one, was shocked. This couple also gave me the exact same energy all season that I got from them on 90 Day Fiancé. It honestly just felt like the season continued, truly, because it just was seamless, and I just got so annoyed because they were having the same exact arguments that we just finished watching. In my brain, I was like, oh, thank God, when 90 Day Fiancé ended, I don't have to hear about this for a little while. And then they said, nope, immediately back into just all the same issues that they've had from the beginning. The amount of time that this couple was living together versus living apart this entire season of Happily Ever After, incredible. Incredible. We do know that criteria is kind of like gray for 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. It's especially funny when they've literally just recently gotten married. But sometimes they don't even have to be happily married, and sometimes they don't even have to be married at all. So, the criteria for Happily Day, 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After always is a little iffy to me. And I'm almost positive that out of all the couples, this is the one I yelled at the screen the most to just break up. Just break up. That's easier said when we're talking about the other 90 Day Fiancé franchises where they're not married yet. But still, there's still time. It is still so early in this marriage. It's like watching like one of those toxic high school couples, because the way they would just go back and forth and just over the same issues, mostly dealing with Rob having cheated in the past and her having to learn to trust him again. And at the end of the day, I get that he cheated, but at some point you just gotta take him or leave him. You have to forgive him or not forgive him and move on. And we have been watching pretty much since 90 Day them argue about this, and it was so boring to watch. I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about them. Of course, we do have the fun almost 10-year age gap, so we get a lot of the classic Rob, who is the older one, wanting Sophie to grow up. And it's like you are dating somebody 10 years younger than you, especially when it's 20s versus 30s. There can be a lot of, different life things going on. Always funny to watch that, though. But other than that, I'm so glad that it seems like maybe they're not together. So we ended the season with me very happy because they were like, this is the end. Rob was like, I'm breaking up. This is the end. Then we get to the tell-all. And they're like, well, I don't know, like, we're kind of seeing each other, and so, I don't know, maybe they're together, maybe they're not. I hope they do not bring them back, though. I think we've seen enough, unless something drastically changes. I cannot hear Sophie just keep, like, being insecure about this. I feel bad for the girl, I understand, but I just can't keep watching. This is not good television. Next up, we have some more newcomers. Manuel, 36 from Ecuador, and Ashley, 33 from New York. If when I had finished watching 90 Day Fiancé this past season, you had told me that Ashley and Manuel were one of my more favorite couples to watch during this season, I would have laughed in your face. I would have been like, lies. Absolute lies. But honestly, they gave us a lot of good TV. I feel like we saw growth from both ends. And while they do have their problems, I mean, so many relationships have problems, and especially when you compare them to some of the problems with other 90 Day Fiancé couples in the universe, these ones feel more like real, and things like that maybe could be worked through, which is interesting to watch. It makes good TV, and then just how they are as people. Great TV. 10/10. Please bring them back. One of my all-time favorite moments from the season with them is when they go to this lawyer for the possibility of doing a post-nup, and it's the lawyer who speaks English, Ashley, speaks Spanish and English, Manuel, who doesn't really speak English yet at all, so he has a translator there for him, so he can, have his own independent translator away from Ashley. And they're talking, and during the course of this, we find out that Ashley has $100,000 of student loan debt that she just never told Manuel about, which, mind you, one of her big things with Manuel is him keeping secrets and her feeling like he's not open to her and hiding things from her. So when this bomb dropped, it was incredible to watch. Also, the way Manuel reacted was just hilarious because he was upset, and every right. I understand why he's upset. I would also be upset not knowing this. But him and Ashley start fighting, and the poor translator at first is like trying to translate the things for Manuel, but then finally realizes, like, the lawyer doesn't necessarily need to know what the conversation is. He can get the gist without anybody translating. This is more of just a conversation between them. And it was the funniest part about it that I keep laughing about was the translator. The way he was just sitting there and like trying to figure out if he should like pop back in or not. So funny. Such a good moment to watch. I mean, not a good moment, but good TV is what I mean. When I say a good moment, I mean good TV, to be clear. And since I gave a moment of them fighting as one of my all-time favorite moments from them, I'll also talk about a cute moment with them. There was finally a point after they'd been just like fighting so much where they had like a really good breakthrough of Manuel talking about like his fears and the like way he needs to care for his family and all this, and they're both crying and it's really beautiful. And yes, that moment ends up getting tainted by them fighting a little later, but it was a moment that like really showed progress, and I love seeing breakthrough moments like that on the show where the couple like actually can seem to work through something. Because it's usually fighting. So we gotta have our little moments of like, yeah. I don't know, I already said it, but 100% this is a couple I'd love to see come back next season. I think there's a lot of growing that they still need to do, but I think they are a couple that will be together. Maybe not forever, who knows? I'm not a psychic, but I see longevity there, and that's something I love in these happily ever after couples. You can have your conflicts, but I need to see somewhere where it makes sense, if that makes sense. The newcomers keep coming and they don't stop coming. Our next couple is Kobe, 36 from Cameroon, and Emily, 31 from Kansas. It had been a minute since we had seen them. Their last appearance was on 90 Day Fiancé Season 9. So, it'd been a minute. I'd slept since then, but once they came back on the screen, I was very happy to see them again. I remembered having a lot of fun watching them then, and I had a lot of fun watching them this season. Their biggest storyline was Emily, her mom and dad, and her and Kobe's kids all going back with Kobe to his homeland of Cameroon, meeting his family, and ultimately having a second wedding. This ended up just kind of getting sprung on them as a surprise, but they pulled it together and had this beautiful wedding, and it was a very fun time to watch all of that unfold, come together. I really liked watching the time in Cameroon, even if they did have their different dramas. It was very interesting. I thought it was a really good time to watch. What I didn't think was a good time to watch was when we find out that Emily is pregnant. And you may be thinking to yourself, who cares? They're married. Yes, you are right there. But what you might not know if you did not watch them back in season 9 is they live with Emily's mom and dad. And something they had said over and over and over again was that they wouldn't have another kid in their house because they are already up to 2 kids and living in Emily's parents' house. So as you can imagine, it's getting kind of full there. So when they find out they're pregnant and have to tell them Emily's mom and dad, I was so nervous. I honestly thought her dad would come unglued. Props to him for not. I think mostly it's thanks to Kobe that it went as well as it did. Because, I mean, he was very much in the camp of, like, your parents are right, we need to move out because you're pregnant, we have, like, a full family, we need a house. And Emily was just dragging her feet about it for a reason I just do not completely understand. I think part of it's just, like, a comfort level of, I'm with my parents, they help take care of me, they help take care of the kids, which I get it. But also, like, you knew how mad your parents were going to be, so I don't know what any of the feet dragging was about. I feel like she should have lined up right there with Kobe being like, we are looking for a house, we will get out as soon as possible. Please don't kick us out immediately. I'm sorry, I love you, thank you for everything you've done for us. But that was not the case. So I think without Kobe, it honestly would not have gone very well. And I'll end talking about them with another thing I love, which is Kobe and Emily's dad's relationship. They have just such a bond that I love watching, and if they bring them back for next season of Happily Ever After, I would love to see more of that. We got it, I feel like, more in 90 Day Fiancé. Maybe I'm crazy, and maybe it was just because they were having their American wedding then, and there was, that sort of stuff going on, and her being pregnant, and I don't know, maybe it was some of that we got to see it more. But even at the tell-all, like, they were both having a moment where they were tearing up, and it just seems like such a sweet relationship, and I want to see more of it. At this point, we just need to keep the theme, and I'm going to say all the newcomers in the beginning. So next up, we have Jasmine, 36, from Panama, and Gino, 54, from Michigan. While they are new to Happily Ever After, they have, unlike some of the other couples, been on 2 whole other ones. They were on 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, and they were on the most recent season of 90 Day Fiancé. This couple is probably the second most I yelled at the screen to just break up already, because similar to Rob and Sophie, when I was watching them last season on 90 Day Fiancé, I was also the whole time screaming, why are y'all getting together? Just break up. This relationship makes absolutely no sense to me on such a fundamental level that I cannot get over it. And I will say it was okay TV. It was pretty good TV. I don't necessarily think we need to bring them back. I was trying to save my should we bring them back or should we not for the end of talking about each couple, but I fear it's just going to come out of me whenever it comes out at this point. So my vote for that one is let's probably not bring them back. So first, there's the obvious thing, the age gap, 54 and 36. Yeah, I don't like it. I've said it before, I say it on all of these shows. I just don't like it. This one I have less of a beef with, considering she's 36. It gets a little different, like the older they are. I still don't like it though, especially in this case, where the older person is the American bringing the younger person to the States, because it already a lot of times when it's an older person looking for a younger person, sometimes, I'm not always saying always, but a lot of times that older person is looking for somebody who they have like power over and can control, and it definitely feels like that's Gino's thing. It feels like that's what he wants from a lot of what we've seen, from everything we've seen. And so, yeah, I think the age gap has to play into it, and I think that's why he wants somebody not from the States, because at the end of the day, it very much feels like Gino does want to control her. That does not absolve Jasmine of the different issues Jasmine has, but I do have a bigger beef with Gino. Because to me, just everything with the way Gino did all of this is just weirdo behavior, for lack of a better word. I mean, his own family all the time seems to be on Jasmine's side, which would just make you feel like you need to stop and think and reevaluate at some point, but it doesn't seem like that happens. My favorite example of this is him making the executive decision to quit his job so he can focus on taking care of Jasmine, getting her settled into the US, doing all of that, working on her paperwork, and he needed to quit his job for that. And then all the time talks about the stress of not really having money, and also stress of like not having time to get this paperwork done, and then also annoyance of needing to do things for Jasmine, like drive her around and things like that. At one point, they're talking about him needing to drive her around, and his own family, I think it was his cousin or something, is like, isn't that why you quit your job? So you could have time to do things for her and take care of her? And he's like, yeah, it just makes no sense. That storyline is something that has irked me so much since it happened, and I just don't understand it. And while Jasmine may have different issues and faults, I just think it gets eclipsed from Gino, in my opinion. And the very last thing I have to say about him is he messes up Jasmine's paperwork so that it is now going to be a longer process to get her kids into the US. And at that point, when Gino figures this out and doesn't immediately just say, we need to do whatever it will take to speed this process up, and instead is like, no, I still can do it all by myself and I don't need any help and it'll be fine. That was where the villain started. That's when I started being like, okay, I think Gino's the villain. I also don't know why Jasmine just didn't up and leave. I was screaming, please, please, please leave him. This should be the tipping point. But things weren't looking great and happily ever after. In the tell-all of it, they were sleeping separately a lot. They did start to kind of make up by the end of it because of the other couples trying to get them to make up. So maybe they made up, but I don't know. It just feels very toxic, and I just feel like that needs to stop. And as I kind of said, I'm kind of 50-50 on if we have them back. Like, you can bring them back. That one's kind of a toss-up in the air for me, I guess, is what I've landed on. I'm like midway through this video, so I can't go back and refilm anything now. But the longer I sat here thinking about it, and while I was trying to look up something about one of the other couples, I made the realization that I guess Happily Ever After does change up quite a bit. There's just so many prolific couples that I think my brain was just kind of like condensing all of it. So maybe we'll see none of these couples again. Maybe everything I'm saying won't matter and we'll have a complete shakeup, as it seems happens most seasons. I honestly, sometimes I watch so much 90 Day Fiancé, especially when I'm in a big kick of it, that it all starts to kind of blend together and I kind of forget how much I've seen a couple or haven't seen a couple. So disregard or don't disregard the if they should stay or not. I just been putting this little PSA in here to say, in case you're watching this yelling at me, like, the couples do change all the time. Like, I guess you're right. I guess they do change more than I thought. I've just been in such a 90 Day Fiancé hole lately. I think I lost it a little. It's too late now, though. We're pushing on. This is what will make it. This is me saying we should bring them back for either this show or another spin-off, like the one I made up about 90 Day Fiancé Party in Paradise. Title suggestions. Let's get back to the couples. The next couple we are going to talk about is Thais, 26, from Brazil, and Patrick, 33, from Nevada. This couple, similar to Emily and Kobe, were really fun to watch because they were going back to Brazil to celebrate their daughter's birthday and introduce her to her grandpa, aka Thais's dad, and more of Thais's family. And I love seeing stuff outside of the United States. It's a really fun time. It's interesting to see them travel. It's also cool for Patrick and Thais because they both have family down there. Patrick's dad actually lives down there. That's how he met Thais. He was down there visiting his dad. Bada boom, bada bing, one thing led to another. Now they're married with a baby. Another fun thing about them is not only did we get them in 90 Day Fiancé, we also got them a little bit in the spin-off version, The Single Life, because Patrick's brother got to be on that most recent season of 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life. And so we got little glimpses into Thais and Patrick and their sweet new baby, which was fun to get them in the background, but I was definitely happy to see them again being featured in Happily Ever After. And I've seen some people who say their story was kind of boring, and I can understand that, but I don't really care because I had fun watching them. I thought it was really interesting, them having to navigate a bunch of their family stuff. It was also really interesting to see Thais's dad being like, you need to give me a blessing, even though they were already married. And then finally being able to see Patrick and Thais's dad have a resolution to that. I enjoyed it. I don't think everything was resolved because, this isn't a scripted TV show. It's real life. But, we did get that big moment of the blessing being given, the crying, the bonding, which truly for a while there I did not think was going to happen. My favorite part of watching all of that is the fact that Thais's dad bonded with Patrick's brother, John, before Patrick, and John doesn't even speak Portuguese at all. Not even a little. John would just be like, yeah, and Thais's dad would be like, yeah, and they were bonding, though. They were like bros without having to talk to each other. It was so funny to watch. They're another couple I really like watching because while they do have different issues, they are a couple that I do feel like is going to stand the test of time. They seem strongly bonded. This is another couple where the American actually speaks the native language of their fiancé, which I always love to see. They have a beautiful daughter, so I hope we get to see more of them. Maybe we'll see more of them on this show. Maybe we'll see more of them. I guess John can't be on Single Life anymore because he got engaged to his girl. So does that still... The 90 Day Fiancé just multiverse is so confusing because number one, it's kind of like, how did John end up on Single Life? I know how they decided to start taking secondary characters and putting them on the show, but then it's kind of like you can't really make that 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After because there wasn't really a 90 Day Fiancé process, although that doesn't really matter for one of the couples in this season of Happily Ever After. So who knows? TLC really plays fast and loose with these, rules for who should be where, in my opinion, with some of these shows. Since I already kind of brought them up at the end of that last couple, we might as well move on to Liz, 31, from America. I don't know exactly where she's from. And Ed, 58, from Arkansas. Yeehaw, go us, we get Big Ed. So unlike a lot of the couples that I have gone through so far, we are now in the portion that I was kind of thinking about earlier with some of our returning type couples. One of which being the infamous Ed, who is just like a plague you can't get rid of on the 90 Day Fiancé franchise, like a sickness, like a cold that antibiotics will not cure. Even though I beg and plead every time I see his name coming up on a cast list. I'm like, please no! But here we are anyway. So we're going to start off with the facts. Number one, they did not have a 90-day fiancé process. So there's that. There's that first question of should they really be on this franchise? The second question, or fact, that leads us into these questionings is the fact that they're not married. So why are they on Happily Ever After if they're not getting married? They're engaged. And the plan was for the season to end with them getting married. That did not end up happening. But from the trajectory of the episodes, it seems as though they wanted the end of the season to have them married by the end. But if you're not married, why are you unhappily ever after? And like I was saying earlier, I watch so many of these, I forget. I've forgotten more 90 Day Fiancé than I've watched at this point, probably in my life. And so there probably was another couple like this at some point that was maybe just engaged. I don't know, never say never. I'm not gonna sit here and try to like triple check all of that. But those two strikes together, just why? I already don't like watching Big Ed, but at least like when he's on Single Life or somewhere like that where it's justified, it's like whatever. But this actually made me mad. Actually made me mad. And I really don't even want to talk about their relationship because I truly don't care. And I just don't feel like it needed to be in this season. I am so tired of seeing Ed. There's somebody else also I'm tired of seeing, but we're saving that. Ed is one of those people that if we never see him again, he will not be missed. I do not know why this franchise feels like they really need to hold on to him that much, but I truly think the ship will be okay if we let him go. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the majority of people don't like him and it's not even like people don't like him and he's fun to watch, because that can be a thing and I feel like was a thing for a period of time. At this point, what it seems like from what I see online is more people are in the camp I am in, where it's just not even fun to watch him anymore. And at that point, it's time to go. And that's all I have to say about them. I already told y'all what happened. They were still broken up when we got to the tell-all. Good for Liz. Please don't bring that man back on Single Life. And those are my prayers. Amen. Speaking of people we will never see again, up next is Mahmoud, 31 from Egypt, and Nicole, 40 from California. So something that I thought would end up being really fun to watch about this couple is the fact that we got to see them on 90 Day Fiancé the other way, where Nicole briefly moved to Egypt. Not briefly, I don't know exactly how long it was. I think maybe a month. She had also done it before. We learned during that season they had times like with her trying to live there, it didn't really work out. She moved back to the US and now she was back in Egypt. But now, on Happily Ever After, they were going to try moving to America. It was Mahmoud's first time trying out America. So I thought that was going to be fun to see the dynamic switch, see how it goes. That ended up not happening because they pretty much got cut from the show. So we get them for like the first 8 episodes, I'm pretty sure it was. And then we don't see them again. Now, to be fair, their storyline, it seemed to end where they ended it for us in that 8th episode. I had honestly kind of forgot about them until I was looking some stuff up the other day, and then I said to myself, oh yeah, Nicole and Mahmoud were in Happily Ever After. But they weren't at the tell-all, and they were only in the first, again, like, I think it was 8 episodes. And so I start looking around, and come to find out, there was a domestic abuse charge against Mahmoud. They seemed to be arguing in public, which made the police come and take him away. And a lot of people are speculating that's kind of why they truncated their storyline on the show. And many people assume we will not be seeing them again. Although it's not like TLC has had issues in the past with platforming people with, I'm not going to say, allegations, some of which I'm pretty sure have been not allegations anymore. I'm just saying, TLC doesn't have the best track record, but the internet does seem to think they are gone and we will not get them again, either because TLC won't allow them to come back or they just don't want to. Who's to say? Who knows? I don't know. If you know, let me know. But that's kind of all for them, because we literally saw them for such a brief period. There's not much to talk about. Mahmoud did not adjust well from what we saw to America, because Nicole had like alcohol and stuff in the house, and he is Muslim, and they fought about culture the exact same way they fought when they were in Egypt. Again, when I heard they were coming to America, I didn't really know what they thought would get fixed, because their main issue was their clashing cultures. and just moving locations wasn't really gonna fix that. But I did think it'd be interesting to watch. Unfortunately, we did not really get to watch it, so that's all I got. Up next, we have OGs, Loren, 35, from Florida, and Alexei, 35, from Palestine, or what he considers Israel. This is also your reminder that down below in my link tree, I have different resources about information or ways you can help people who are suffering in the current genocide that is happening in Palestine. I am not going to talk about the reactions about the war happening and all of that. I honestly wouldn't really talk about this couple at all if I didn't have to. I was kind of annoyed to see them coming back. They're one of my least favorites to watch. They always have been. And I think it's kind of a saturation thing. They were on, it felt like so many things for so long that I just got kind of bored of watching them. Like literally nothing against them. I just kind of felt like we'd seen that, done that. So I was surprised they were coming back, thought it's going to be something interesting, and unfortunately it really wasn't, in my opinion at least. Their biggest storyline through the entire season is the fact that Loren is going to do elective cosmetic surgery. She's doing like the mommy makeover sort of thing, and at the moment she is like the stay-at-home mom, always takes care of the kids, does all the cleaning, all the cooking, and Alexei doesn't do any of that. And he's going to have to while Loren is recovering. And repeatedly it gets brought up over and over again that Loren has issues with body dysmorphia, which I hate that for her. That's terrible. I have had issues with that in my past, and I know so many people who have, and it's terrible. And while I do feel empathy and compassion for that, seeing her talk about that and then get surgery and like never really seem to connect that she should also be doing therapy, that therapy is what will help her more with this. Even when one of her close friends, after Loren has surgery, brings that up to her. Is like, hey, like, have you thought about, and it just, from what I've seen on TV, it just does not seem like she's understanding that. And it was a little disheartening to watch and kind of made me worried for other people watching it. I hate when I get into that sort of stuff, especially with reality TV. But I know like eating disorders and things like that can be very fragile. So even just seeing like somebody like Loren on TV and being like, well, maybe that really will fix me. Maybe I do just get the surgery and I'll love my body and I'll love myself. And in my personal opinion, that's just not how it works. So not a very interesting story to watch, and one that ultimately was just kind of upsetting to me every time they came on camera. And that's it. That's all I have to talk about. They came back after a while of not being on because they've been on Happily Ever After before. Then I think they had their own spinoff of some sort, and then obviously like 90 Day. Like they've been around the block, and I think we're good. I think we're good for another break on them, at least for now. Again, that's my opinion. Last and arguably least, we have Michael, 35, from Nigeria, and Angela, 57, from Georgia. Now, if you think I'm tired of seeing Big Ed or Loren and Alexei, imagine how tired I am of seeing Angela, as I feel like pretty much everybody in the 90 Day Fiancé fan base is at this point. I see no comments of like, wow, I want to see where Angela and Michael go from here. The majority of comments I see about them are please, please, please take them off our screen. And also somebody save Michael, considering the things that have come out. We'll get to that. So they've been on 90 Day Fiancé. They've been on this Happily Ever After show for, God, I don't even know how long. They've been on this particular spinoff for what feels like forever. Then they were on that Last Resort show. It feels like we see them no matter what. And the storyline for years and years and years now has been trying to get Michael to the United States. We usually see Angela going over there to see him. And at one point they even got married while he was still over there. And finally, this season is the season where Michael comes to America. We do not get to see a lot of this. We mostly get to see them arguing, trying to get him over to America. But we do get a little glimpse of it. And then we find out more in the tell-all. And then we find out more after that. And it literally, I'm going to get frustrated. This is one of those I'm going to probably either have to film like 8 times or y'all are just going to have to bear with me. Who knows? I guess I should start out with the thing I usually start out with like the other couples who are prolific and infamous like them. Again, like Gino and Jasmine, we have one of those age gaps where we have the older American and the younger person from another country. And once again, Angela does seem like one of those people and always has for years and years and years now, where it seems like she likes being in control of someone. We've seen it for years and years and years now when it comes to his phone, when it comes to his social media, anything and everything she could control of this man, she would do it. Now, once again, like with the Gino and Jasmine thing, I'm not absolving Michael of everything in the world. He might not be a saint. He probably has his issues. Don't we all? But Angela, again, does overshadow those things when we are talking about it, at least from the standpoint of watching the show. So when we finally find out that Michael is coming to America, there was an absolutely delusional part of me that was like, you know what? Maybe things will just be fine now. Maybe Angela will see that he's here in the United States, so that will let her let go of some of these controlling tendencies, and maybe it will work out. And I don't know what possessed me and made me think that for any amount of time, but I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm not going to lie about it. I did have that delusional thought, and I was 4,000% could not be more wrong. America starts out not great because while they were over there still trying to get his visa and everything sorted out to get him to the United States, Angela was doing what she loves to do, which was looking through his phone, and she found this group message called Paradise Men, and he said that it was a group message of other African, and maybe not even just African, but other people who are trying to get the K-1 visa or the marriage visa with their spouse or partner to get into the United States, and it's just like a help group chat. Is that true? I don't know. Does it seem very plausible? Yes. However, Angela, who is super controlling and has terrible trust issues, decides immediately this must mean he's scamming her. He's been with her 7 years, and obviously he is scamming her to come to the United States. This is what did it for her. This, out of everything in the years and years and years we've been watching them, this is really what set her off. And I mean, part of it could have been because, they were coming to America. So he gets to America. We're living there. They're fighting. It feels like all the time about anything. And then Angela gets a private investigator because she wants to know once and for all if Michael is scamming her. And then honestly, I kind of forgot about it because the season started wrapping up. I thought we would just find out next season because it just feels like Angela will never leave this franchise. Really, with cliffhangers with her, I'm like, okay. It doesn't even faze me. I'm like, we'll find out. Who knows? But they decided to make it really dramatic, and they brought him to the tell-all, which I loved. I love a drama moment like that. And the investigator, after hemming and hawing and being super weird, is finally like, I didn't find anything on him. I don't find any evidence of him cheating or wanting to scam you or anything. And he has all his pages of documents. And she still, after she has paid a man herself to look into him, is just still flying off the handle, doesn't trust him. It was honestly super upsetting to watch. And multiple people have talked about it. At the end of the day, she was just verbally abusing that man in front of everybody. It was bad to watch. We've seen super bad moments from Angela. The one that always sticks out to me the most is when she started just trying to break apart his car. But this was the worst of the worst. I especially in front of the other people like that. It was shocking. Shocking is the least I could say about all of it. And overall, especially when we're talking about the tell-all, that's the main thing I'm thinking about at this point, because this is really where we see things completely imploding, exploding, both at the same time. Who knows? What was really interesting to me was the way Angela went about handling it, because from the very beginning, she was just obviously controlling Michael. It's the first time Michael is going to get to meet any of these people in person, get to freely talk about them, or talk with them, about them, whatever. And she is like, out loud, says even in front of other people that like he's not supposed to talk to anybody by himself. Like, girl, why do you think that's going to make you look like the sane one? And she keeps talking about, like, I don't want him to make me look like the bad guy, so I'm just not going to let him talk to any of you on his own. And it's like, girl, that's making you look like the bad guy by yourself. That's weirdo behavior. It was just really upsetting to watch. And then by the very end, we find out Michael ran away, which honestly, good for him. I don't care if that makes Angela think he scammed her to get to the US. I would also have suggested to Michael to run away after everything we've seen. At the very end, it's not even in the tell-all. It's like later after filming, we find this out. One day, Angela had left, presumably to go like run errands or something. Michael packed his stuff. He doesn't have a car. He doesn't have a way to drive, and just starts walking for like hours and hours until he gets somewhere where he can borrow a phone, call some of his other friends who are able to help him get to an undisclosed location. They don't tell us where he is, probably for his safety. And that's where we leave off. Like, that's literally like the end of the season of Happily Ever After, which was just like, what a weird way to end it all. But I honestly hope they don't get back together. I'm running out of words because it was just upsetting. It was shocking. Something I don't want to see again. There's been years now where we've all been kind of like, I think we're done with Angela, but especially after this and the different allegations coming out and the obvious abuse that seemed to be happening, I think we're good. I think we can close this chapter, TLC. Unless we're going to put Michael on single life. Maybe too soon. I don't know. I think I probably should just cap it now on talking about them because I might start getting into my just ranting and making no sense. But at the end of the day, I think we're good. And that is a wrap on 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After ? Season 8. As always, I want to hear your thoughts, feelings, opinions, all that and more down below. What do you think about this maybe final chapter of Angela and Michael? Do you want Big Ed back? Who of the newer couples has been your favorite? Let me know all that and more down below. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it. And if you like gabbing about reality TV, maybe subscribe to the channel. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.